Well, hello and thank you for tuning in for another episode of the Entrepreneurial Mindset Show. My name is Florin Lungu. I'm so delighted to be with you today, and I cannot wait to share with you on this visionary mindset. Today, I'm going to look at another one of those entrepreneurial mindset. We found out there are 12 different entrepreneurial mindset that successful entrepreneurs excel at. They practice these mindsets, and because they do that, they are successful at what they do. So we just, research the subjects, we put this together into a plan, right? We have 12 different mindsets. And in this entrepreneurial mindset show, we go through each of them every single week. So this is week 6 of our show, and we had an introduction show, and then we look at 5 different mindsets already. And today we're going to look at the visionary mindset. So I have some slides that I prepared for us, and I'm going to go through the slides. So let me just kind of share my screen here, and you're going to see this coming up. So what is mindset? This is a reminder for us in order for us to really apply these mindsets to our business and to our life in general, because this is not only for business. We need to understand what mindset is, right? And I've done some research, and I realized that most people agree that mindset, it's a set of beliefs, attitude, and expectations about a situation or an outcome. And I'm gonna go and say that this is an expectation about how I and the world function, right? So my mindset, it's a set of beliefs about myself and about the world, right? And I give this example. If I believe the situation right now in the world to be difficult because of COVID-19, and if that's my belief, then what will happen is that my action would be corresponding to my belief, right? So if I believe it's difficult, and if I believe I don't have an advantage in this world, if I believe that I'm a foreigner in Sweden, now in Denmark, well, if that's my belief, and I believe that for myself is going to be difficult, then I would not take a lot of action. So whatever we believe, right, that's our mindset. And what we believe translates in how we feel, and how we feel influences the action we take. And because of the action we take, we get results or we don't get results. So that's why I believe mindset is so important. And I have a diagram for us here. So if you look at this, your results and my results, and in general, your level of success, it's actually what right? Your skills multiplied by your attitude, right? If you think about that, Napoleon Hill says in the book Think and Grow Rich that in order for us to be successful, in order for us to be rich and wealthy, or to get any level of success in any business or any area of your life, we need power. It says that in order to become rich, in order to become successful, it requires power. And he goes on to say that power can be acquired through highly organized, intelligently directed, specialized knowledge. But there's a caveat there. The knowledge doesn't necessarily need to be in the possession of the person acquiring the riches, for example, or getting the results. So again, if we look at this diagram here, results are skills and attitudes, right? And if you think about that, what I just shared from Napoleon Hill, that's our skill, what you know, or what you can acquire around you. If you can acquire people around you, if you gather people that have the knowledge, have the expertise, then you have the skill, right? But then it also is multiplied by our attitude. Because think about that. If you have to choose to, bring a new person on your team, or you're just maybe starting up and you're just alone, and now you say, I need to partner up with someone. Well, if you look at two people which have exactly the same skill set, they have the same knowledge, or maybe they have the same network that they can pull the knowledge together, who would you choose? Would you choose the person who, it's sharp, but has maybe a more complaining, a more negative attitude, or the person who is always positive and lifting themselves and lifting other people? I bet you choose the positive person, right? Because if they have the same skill set? Why would you choose someone that might affect negatively yourself and your team and kind of your results? So that's why we believe mindset and attitude is so important for business, and that's why we dedicate this whole series of entrepreneurial mindset, and we're looking at your attitude, your belief, and how can you develop these beliefs and attitudes as successful entrepreneurs have. So let's go forward. One of the quote that I really like is that this one from Wayne Dyer, where he says that when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And that's what we want for you in this program. So we want you to change, to shift your point of view, to shift your perception, right? Perception is one of our intellectual faculties. We have gifted with 6 intellectual faculties, and we have the ability to shift our perception, to change our point of view. And when we do that, when we change the perception, the belief, the attitude, everything changes. So that's what we want for you. That's what I want for me. I want to slightly change my perception so I see this in a different light, and maybe I'm more interested in developing my entrepreneurial mindset. So let's look at this. Today we look at the visionary mindset, and this is moving from my vision to helping other people see themselves in the vision. What I mean by that is that so many times entrepreneurs, they are driven because they have a vision. That's all they have. Sometimes at the very beginning they only have a vision, they have nothing else than a vision. And so it's a challenge for entrepreneurs not to be so caught up in the vision and talk about themselves and the vision and everything being about a vision that they forget other people. Because the moment you have a vision which is bigger than yourself, which will require more than just you, well, you would need people around you. And how do you gather people around you if you only talk about yourself, right? So you need to move from my vision to helping people see themselves in the vision, right? From my vision to our vision, right? And so that's kind of what we want to help you with today. And we're going to look at some ideas here, some people that had different views on visionary mindset and how we create results. And I share, if you follow me on social media, I share one of the videos from this week where on the visionary mindset. And I share a picture. I'm not sure if you've seen this, but this is a picture that I took in a beautiful place. This is a copy of the Oval Office, and I really believe that this helped me come up with this lesson, because it kind of just clarified for me when I sat there. So about a couple of weeks back, when I recorded those videos, I sat in a place called um, Himmel's Bee Spine Conference. So this is a small village, it's in a tiny village somewhere in kind of in central Sweden. And in that village, in that spot, they built a copy of the Oval Office. So I was just there with my wife, and we were enjoying a day off, and I saw a sign who says Oval Office. Come and take a look. And I went there and I looked, and I was amazed. But I saw that, look at these different paintings, look at that furniture, look at how that is as a place to just kind of feel how it feels to be in that kind of environment where you get to decide the future of nations, or maybe the future of the world, right? Think about the American president, probably one of the most powerful person in the world, right? And so I got to sit one whole day in that office, and I got to record the videos about the visionary mindset, the little snippets that I release every single week, upcoming to this show. And sitting there, I was thinking, well, so how it comes that this visionary, these people, these presidents, see farther than others see, and see beyond others see, and see before others see. And that was kind of the theme of the lesson. And I was thinking, okay, how can I paint this? How can I put this into words and help you kind of develop this visionary mindset. And so let's look at some quotes, what other people said about vision, right? So I have one from JFK. He said that efforts and courage are not enough without purpose and direction. In other words, we need to know where to direct the effort. And you know also that without being focused in one direction, in one purpose, then we're not really achieving much. Because think about that. Go out now in the sun, it's a sunny day, and if you go out, you would sit in the sun and you get tainted, right? But if you take a magnifying glass, maybe even a glass, right? And if you take a magnifying glass and you harvest the power of the sun and you focus it on one point, you would light yourself on fire in 2 seconds. That's focus, right? So what he says, effort is not enough. We need direction and we need focus. Look at another one here. Great people stand out from others by their vision, not by their intelligence. And how can we have people, come along us, follow us on our vision? Let's look at another one. Entrepreneurs have a mindset that sees the possibilities rather than the problems created by chance. Isn't that true? Let's look at this one. The only thing worse than being blind is having sight but no vision. So if that's true, and we really understand that we need to build vision, well, okay, so do you see any entrepreneur, any successful entrepreneur that is not the visionary? Give me an example of a successful entrepreneur, and I'm going to show you a visionary. I haven't found someone which is really successful and is not a visionary, because you either need a vision for yourself to at least stay engaged in the game and staying long enough until you get the result that you want, or you need a bigger vision and a big enough vision for people to want to follow, right? If your vision is to just create income for yourself and sustain yourself and your family, well, why would people want to be on your vision? Why would people want to come on your team, right? But if your vision is, for example, to empower entrepreneurs, if your vision is to help people discover their potential, if your vision is to cure polio like the Rotary, if your vision is to, whatever your vision is, if it's big enough, and people will follow. So we really understand that vision, it's kind of the link between purpose and goals, and that really is like in our lesson on purpose, vision, goals, we teach about vision, and we say that vision is actually the glue, the link, the connector between purpose and goals. And here is how it looks. So if you look at what purpose is why you do what you do, right? And this is called, we call this being like the sun, right? We say that the sun rises and sun sets, but actually the sun doesn't rise and doesn't set. The sun is in the center and everything revolves around it. So your purpose will be like the sun, right? And so, for example, if your purpose would be to, let's say, feed starving children, right? That might be your purpose, right? So for someone who has a purpose to feed starving children, then you have to ask yourself, what would be some ways that I could live out my purpose, right? And that's kind of your vision. How can I live out my purpose? Well, what I could do, I could start a non-profit, right? And collect money and raise fund and then help work with organizations that are in those countries that need help, right? Or I could start, go door to door and collect food and then deposit that to the food bank. Or I could run some events and some charity events locally with my chamber of commerce or whatever organization you have, and then raise some funds, right? So those are ways you could live your purpose, right? So look at this. Purpose is why you do what you do, right? So people want to they have a why. Your purpose is, it's your why, right? Now vision are ways for you to live out your purpose, right? I just gave you 3 ways. So in this case, the person could, if that would be your vision, you could either go door to door and collect food. You could either create some events where you raise funds or you collect food, or you create a charity, a non-profit, and then collect funds and work with organizations in those countries that need help. So these are three ways. All of these would be part of your vision, right? Because this is how you live out your purpose, right? When it comes to business, let's say your purpose is to empower people financially, right? So how could you do that? You could educate them, right? You could help them financially. You could give scholarships, right? You could maybe help them experience new countries, right? So there is different ways you could do that, right? And these are part of your vision. So if this is in alignment with your purpose, then it's part of your vision. It makes it to your vision board. And then you choose things from your vision board that are smaller pieces of your vision, and those are your goals. We say that goals are your milestones towards your vision, right? So we have purpose, which is like the sun. Then we have vision, which is ways for you to live out your purpose. And you have goals, and goals are smaller parts of your vision, which you set a deadline to. And for example, in the case of us wanting to help starving children, one goal would be for us to say, okay, by this date I'm gonna go in and speak with organization in my areas, and we're gonna organize an event where we raise money, right? That would be a goal, right? Or you say, well, what I could do is also I could go and volunteer somewhere in a country, right? And then you say, well, okay, so how would I gonna get the money? How would I gonna get the time? Well, those will be your goals, right? I have to figure out to get the visa. I get to figure out how will I get the time off. I have to figure out how will I pay for my trip. Those will be your goals, right? Does it make sense? Yeah. So purpose, vision, goals. So vision is the glue, right? So what's critical here for us is to know where we want to go, right? And we don't have to be stuck if you feel that you don't know your purpose, because you don't necessarily need to know your purpose in order to have a vision. A question that I love asking clients that I work with and my friends is, how would you spend your birthday in 3 years time, right? How would that day look like for you? What would you do when you wake up in the morning? Who would be around you? What kind of activities would you do? All the details that you can see about how you would you spend your day, right? And then use that as the perfect image, the image of your perfect life. And that would be kind of your goal. That would be your vision, right? That would be your guiding star. And if you have that clarity upon how you want to spend your birthday, then you will be able to see if things are in alignment or not in alignment with your vision and your purpose, right? And the challenge is that we don't really spend that much time into thinking about the future. We don't spend so much time and envisioning the future that we want to create. And because we don't do that, well, sometimes we wonder and we're not sure if that's the right direction, because we don't really know if that's what we really want. And so a quote that I really love by Napoleon Hill, he says something like that: on the chapter on imagination. This is one of the 13 steps formula that Napoleon Hill shared in his book Think and Grow Rich. He says that man's only limitation within reason lies in his development and use of his imagination. Think about that. Man's only limitation within reason lies in his development and use of his imagination. And I underline the word use because he's not saying if we're using our imagination or we don't, right? Because that's people say, oh, okay, I'm not so good with I cannot create a vision board. I'm not so good. I'm not creative. And what do I do if I'm not creative? Well, You know what? You're creative. You are as creative as I am. We create all the time. All you do is create. Everything we see around that is has been created, and everything was a picture in someone's mind. So if you don't like the results that you're experiencing today, is because you're creating, you know, the wrong things. In other words, you're using your imagination wrongly, right? So first thing is that do not assume that you're not using your imagination, because we're always imagining things. But some people imagine the best case scenario, like they see opportunities in every difficulty, and other people see difficulty in every opportunity, and they use their imagination wrongly to imagine the worst case scenario. So how can we create a vision for ourselves, for our team, for our family, for our life, if we imagine the worst case scenario? Well, that's what we're going to get in our life. That's why it's very important for us to be able to use this imagination, purposely to envision our future. And that's why I ask, how would your, birthday look like in 3 years' time? Because that's important. If you don't know how would that look like, how would you know what things are in alignment or not in alignment with your vision? You don't, right? Because you don't have a measure. You don't know if that's in alignment or not, right? So that's why, I mean, if this is valid for you, think about your team. How would your team know that if this is a priority or not a priority for our company, if you don't have a vision, right? Or that vision might not be clear. So how can you build a 3 years vision for you and for your company? So I think the first thing that comes to mind and on the list is that you need to make it a priority. You need to take the time to think about what it is that you want to create in your life and in your business in 3 years' time. Then you want to visualize how would your future business look like. What kind of services or products would you sell? Who would you serve? And what kind of people would you have on your team? I advise my clients, and we work on that, to sketch your 3 years organization chart. What I mean by that, like, think about who would you have on your team in 3 years' time. Who from your current team might not even be on that chart in 3 years' time. Who you see that they might not follow along with you, and they might not be part of your future organization. So this is critical. It's critical for you to have this plan. I mean, you might say, Florin, it's a long time. Yeah, okay. So I get that it's a long time in today's environment where things change in 6 months, and something like COVID, um, changes everything. But if you don't have a picture of your ideal organization, how would you know when you see an opportunity, when you meet someone that might really have the skill, the talent, the personality that you need on your team? How would you know that that person is a fit? You don't, right? So that's why we need to have this picture. We need to know where are we going, right? Then you map out your current players, right, your current team, to the future roles, and see what are you missing. Are people? Do you have enough people on your team? Do you have people that can take you and your business there? Look at what who is not up for it, who is not at the level that you need them to be in order for you as a team to reach that vision, right? And then create a plan to fill those empty seats, right? If you really want to create an organization for you and for your dream, to help you carry that vision forward, you need to take time. You need to take time to think about this. And so few entrepreneurs, so few business owners really do this. And because they don't do it, they don't really create this kind of organization. And it's sad. But the truth is that without vision, people perish. This is an old proverb: without vision, people perish. And you know what? You might say, well, Florin, what do you mean people perish? Okay, so in today's world, people will not perish, right? There were times when without vision, people would die, right? But now, in today's world, we don't die, right? But worst, we live lost, right? Without vision, we're lost. And we're lost, and our people are lost. So that's why it's so important to create vision. and to take the time to think about what it is that we want to create. Because if we don't know what we want to create, it's very difficult to create it, right? But there's also some limitations. We need to expand our vision all the time as entrepreneurs, as the leader of the company. We always need to expand, because otherwise, how would we expect our people to, stay engaged and be with us and stay on the journey if they don't see that we always have a bigger vision than, and this vision is probably something that we'll never achieve, but that's what motivates some people. So John Maxwell shares that what we can see determines what we can be. In other words, what he says is that if we cannot see the vision, we'll not be able to live it. We'll not be able to become, right? If we don't see ourselves as, the person, that has the kind of life we imagine, well, we'll not be able to become that person. And I think it's true, right? So what he says is that we should always expand our vision, right? We should always expand our vision, because if we don't expand our vision, what happens is that we can only become what we see today, right? And when it comes to vision, he shares there is four type of people. There are people that never see the vision, right? Even if you try to share it, even if you share it, they don't see it. And if they don't see it, they're wanderers. They don't know where to go. The second category are people that see it but never pursue it on their own, which makes them followers, right? Third category are people who see it and pursue it, and these are achievers, right? These are the solopreneurs. These are the one man show, one woman show. And then you have a fourth category who are the leaders. These are people who see it, pursue it, and help other people pursue it too. That's where we want to be. We want to be in this fourth category where we see it, we pursue it, and we take other people with us on the journey, because that's what makes a leader, and that's what makes an entrepreneur. Because think about that. As entrepreneurs, the moment you have a vision which is bigger than one person, you need to be a leader. You need to become a leader. And this is one of the shifts that it's so difficult to make for so many entrepreneurs, because they are really good thinkers. They are, really good salesperson. But the challenge is that when they move from a small team, when they are the doer, to having a bigger team where they need to be a leader. And it requires a completely, different skill set. And that's the shift that they need to make from, my vision to our vision, and to help, people see themselves in the picture and in the vision. But if they do it, success is on their side. So let's look at a few ways that we could, develop the visionary mindset. So first thing we could do to increase our vision is to spend time with people who think big, right? I think this is self-explanatory, right? That's why I went to that place there, in Himmels B, just because I have a mentor of mine that, shares times when he goes into these, beautiful hotels, right? Because he wants to spend time, in those places where big thinkers spend time, right? And he goes to networking events and to events where he can spend time with bigger thinkers. That's why we need, we say, Les Brown says that we are the average of the 5 people that we spend most time with, right? So ask yourself, do you have people around you that help you think big, or do you have people that maybe slow you down because they're afraid to think big, and because, you kind of challenge them if you think bigger than they think, right? So that's why we always need to kind of expand our circle of friends and acquaintances and, influencers, because we always want to have a bigger vision than our team, right? Because that's what, you can be a leader, you can be an entrepreneur if your team, looks up to you in the way that you see more than they see, right? And then because you are just one level higher, you can pull them up, right? But if you are at the same level, if you don't see more than they see, if you need their help to see further, then they would not need you anymore. They need someone who sees further and sees, before the other sees. So that's the first one. Now, the second one here is to expand your awareness to of what's possible, right? And this is always to challenge ourselves and challenge our limits, and this is where other people and other entrepreneurs and sharing their results will help you and I see that, well, if it's possible for them, it must be possible for me, right? And if you wonder about what's possible, right? A mentor of mine shares this. He says, Florin, you wonder what's possible for you? Go out at night with a clear sky and look up on the sky, and you would see the moon. Well, remember, there are footprints on the moon. That's an expanding thought. So think about what's possible. Almost anything is possible. Next one here. Ask questions to help you see farther and wider. In other words, do not accept things as they are and question them. Not inquire things. Do not just say, well, okay. Do not judge the book for the cover or by the cover. Go in and read about that, right? Do not just take whatever other people post on social media as the truth, right? Go and find that by for yourself, right? And that allows us to be curious, and then when we're curious, we're always expanding, right? Next one, and the last one here, or not the last one, the before last one. Explore and expose yourself to other culture, right? Traveling, it's one of my passions, and I really believe that I expand the most when I work with Japanese, right? So I had a privilege to work with Japanese. I had the privilege to visit Japan 2 times, and we were sitting in these meeting rooms where we needed to, agree upon projects, and it was so difficult for us to be able to understand the Japanese point of view, and then more importantly communicate over the phone. And we had to go to Japan, and those were I've been to Japan to Nagoya 2 times, and those were some of the the most expanding times of my awareness and my growth, and how other people think, and the culture in Japan, and their business culture, and then I understood why we were challenged to work together, because we had a completely different culture. The Japanese culture compared to the Western European culture, completely different, but we could land on common ground because we understood each other, right? So I needed to explore those cultures to be able to expand my horizon to what's possible. And now that awareness is with me, right? So exploring cultures and exposing ourselves to other cultures, again, that's expanding our vision. And develop a vision growth plan. What I mean by that is just have a plan to, maybe you want to learn some new things that will help you think big. Maybe you want to explore countries, as I just mentioned. Maybe you can create some goals for yourself, to meet some people, to read some books, to listen to some podcasts, whatever, from wherever you're taking information. Create a plan for you to kind of expand your thinking. This is what we're meaning by expanding your vision and creating um, a growth plan for your vision. Because John Maxwell says that leaders see before others see and farther than others see, right? And he says, here is what we're doing, is we're developing the more and before. Like we have to see more than other people, and we have to see before other people to stay a leader, to be a leader, to be an entrepreneur, right? Think about successful entrepreneur. They always see things that you don't see, right? I follow people that see things now in the field of cryptocurrency and NFTs that I don't understand yet. I don't understand, but I know they see things that I cannot see, and so I spend time with them, right? I follow them. The quote I want to leave you with, and for closing this one, is this one from Jonathan Swift. He says that vision is the art of seeing what is invisible to others. I totally believe that vision is the art of seeing what is invisible to others. Isn't that true that as entrepreneurs, as successful entrepreneurs, we see things that other people don't see? We see opportunities where other people don't see. That's kind of how we create, we create value in the marketplace from nothing, right? This is entrepreneurship. It's taking something of a lower value and increasing the value of that something. And isn't that the kind of entrepreneurship on steroids when you have the vision? I truly believe it is. So this is what I wanted to share with you today. I hope it helped you. I hope it gave you some perspective here on vision. And I look forward to see you next week. So next week we'll be back with another episode of the Entrepreneurial Mindset Show, and we're gonna look at the persistent mindset and how can we shift from asking ourselves how long is gonna take this to having that how whatever it takes mindset. This is something that I'm